welcome back. Now we're going to talk about direct versus indirect costs. Okay, so we're still in our mask making factory and I'm making masks. Okay, so direct costs are costs that we can directly trace to a cost object. In this example, the cost object is one face mask, okay? Because that's our product. All right, so let's look at our different costs. Fabric is a direct cost because I know exactly how much fabric goes into one mask. Elastic is a direct cost because I know exactly how much elastic goes into one mask. Thread, I'm going to call an indirect cost. And the reason is because I don't know exactly how much thread goes in. I mean, I guess I could measure it and come up with some sort of a standard. But the reality is, you know, if I mess up and I have to use my stitch remover, you know, to pull out some stitches and then go back and resew them, I'm going to use a little bit more thread. I don't know. Other stuff could happen. The thread could get jammed, like all kinds of stuff. And like literally this thing of thread is like 2x. So it's not going to be cost efficient. If you remember the cost benefit constraint from 301, like don't track stuff if it's not cost efficient. You know, for a $2 thing of thread that I can make, I don't know, probably 20 masks from, it's better if I just toss all my thread costs in a pool and then I allocate it based on whatever I use to allocate it. And we're going to talk about that more in module 3. Okay, but for now, just let's call this indirect. Let's talk about the depreciation on the machine. That's going to be indirect, right? I don't know exactly how much depreciation goes into every mask. You know, I guess you could do it based on time, but then how much time does one mask take? Again, it varies depending on if I mess things up or if something happens. So we're just going to toss that in a bucket and allocate it as well. Let's talk about my time. So if I am paying myself a wage, like I know how much time it takes to make one face mask on average, right? So the time I spend actually making a mask, we could call that a direct cost. We're going to call that direct labor. But the time I spend, you know, threading the bobbins, that's a real inside sewing term, right? I'm trying to look like I'm really good at this. Time I spend threading the bobbins, that's going to be indirect because, you know, I have to do it about every 7 or 8 masks. And rather than track that, I'm just going to allocate it. The time I spend shopping for fabric, you know, that I'll probably just toss that into one bucket and allocate that out as well. Because again, it's really hard to tie the amount of time I spent shopping for fabric and what I need to pay myself for that time to the actual end product, which is a face mask. Okay, hopefully that helps explain direct and indirect. And in the next video, we will talk about product and period. All right.